Everybody, welcome to KC Reads and Writes. I'm here in the dining room filming book reviews. So I'd like to do 2 book reviews. I'll try to keep it just one to keep the videos nice and short, but I just wanted to get these 2 out of the way. So this month I read 2 books. One being, yes, Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. Yeah, so this one was a big book. It was not a small book by any means. My copy was 582 pages. I'm not gonna lie, towards the end I tried to speed through that, but I liked the book. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.75 out of 5 stars. Now, the reason why I didn't get full 5 stars for me was because I felt as if it was the ending didn't really make sense to me. I mean, I know everything leading up to it seemed to kind of drive it to that kind of end, but I felt like the decisions of the main characters really didn't make sense. It really didn't make sense. I mean, a lot of unlikable characters in this book, but they're written unlikable in a really good way. Like, you want to like them, but they're so horrible, and that's why the ending really didn't make sense to me. Just such horrible people, but in a likable way. So I really like this story. The reason why I wanted to read this is I work at a library, and I used to put away the books, and I'd always see this one, and it looked really interesting. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I never thought I would read this book. Just too big. It just seemed like something I maybe would like to have read, but maybe wouldn't enjoy. So I never thought I would really read it. So when I started my whole TBR, I had the copy, you know, I bought it a while ago. So I have a copy, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna just start randomly selecting books to read. And when I created my TBR, I picked that title, and that's the only reason I read it, to be honest. And when I read it, I fell right into it. The reason why I got it, when I got it a long time ago, was because of the whole lesbian aspect to it. And I thought, lesbians in this time period, that is gonna be an interesting story. So yeah, don't read it thinking it's gonna be hot lesbian sex. Just read it for the story. And the story is amazing. It's about a girl who's been, she has this past where her mother was a fingersmith, and she gave birth to her, and then she went off on her last kind of task or whatever. She said she wanted to make her treasure so that her and her daughter didn't have to live the life of fingersmithing or whatever. So she goes off on this last task to steal from this gentleman, and it goes awry. She ends up killing the gentleman and is hanged due to it. So this child is brought up by this lady that kind of takes care of these orphans, by all these people who give her their children for various reasons. And her mother gave her her child, and she gave her money to take care of the child, like 50 pounds. And she's like, I'm gonna do this thing. Obviously she got hanged for it, but she took care of that child all throughout her life. And so now that this child is now all grown up, she knows about her mother, she's been living in the burrows, she's a burrow child, she's a fingersmith. But she's been sheltered. She's been sheltered from the true fingersmith life, from the true life of thievery. So one day this guy named Gentleman comes over and devises a plan to steal the fortune of Maud Lily, this lady. So he needs somebody on the inside as a maid to try to convince Maud to marry him so that he can steal her fortune and then throw her in the madhouse and keep her money. So he asks our main character, Sue Trinder, to be that lady. And the story goes off from there. So that's the story. Think of it as more than just about lesbians. It's a really good story, and I loved it. I love the deep description of everything. It just seems so authentic and so real. I felt like I was in the boroughs. I felt like I was in London in the countryside, being on the Thames River, I think that's how you pronounce it. And it just, everything about the book was really well done. Everything but the ending, I thought. But that's just me. So I gave it a 4.7 out of 5 stars. Read it, guys. But I'm not keeping this book. This is going to be an unhaul. So yeah, it's an older book, and although I really like the story, it's not a book that I want to keep. I know that's weird, but there are some books that are really just like imprinted in me when I read them, and this didn't really do it. And those are the types of books that I want to have. The stories that I feel are a part of me. And this one didn't make the cut, guys. So anyways, the next book I actually read on my Kindle, and it is Clive Barker's Hellbound Hearts. This book was really interesting. If you like the Hellraiser series, 1 and 2 I think are more authentic, you're gonna like this book. And I liked it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. There were some elements to it that I didn't care for, mainly the way that the women were described, and also after watching the movie, I really felt like Kirsty, the sister of Julia, should have been the daughter, the stepdaughter. I think it would have made more sense that way. It just seemed kind of creepy the way they portrayed it. And to tell you the truth, Kirsty would say things like, oh yeah, you know, because they were moving into this new house, and you know, Julia was kind of feeling some type of way about the house, and Kirsty showed up, and she's like, kind of like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, you know, just trying to help. And she would try to help, and Julia didn't really want her around. And she would say in her mind, like an inner dialogue, like, well, I don't really care what you think, because, you know, your husband wants me here, and I, you know, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, if I don't want you in my house and you're my sister, you're not going to be in my house, despite what my husband thinks. Then I just thought the role of the women were kind of weird. But it was written in 1986, and this was Clive Barker's second book, so I think a lot can be forgiven because of that. Outside of that, the fantastical elements were amazing. The horror elements were amazing. It felt like I was there. A lot of it was like watching it in a film. And I think it really gave that background to the movies that really made it really great. And I wish I had the quotes from the movie. Gosh, those were great. That's going to be on my blog, and I can post it below. 2 quotes that I love so much, and I feel like epitomizes kind of the book. But anyways, yeah, really great. 4.5 out of 5 stars. I would recommend it to anyone who's into horror, kind of scary things. Even if you're not, give it a try. I thought it was really good. I would recommend it, definitely. But anyways, those are my 2 reviews, and I hope this video wasn't too long. But I like long videos too. Sometimes I could just turn them on and just get lost in them and not have to worry about looking for another one really soon. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll have more videos like this when I read more books. Talk to you guys later. Bye.